from the drama-free true crime destination. No fluff, no filler, just the bites, breakdowns, and bold truth you need. This is the Mid-Week Byte. Welcome on this Wednesday evening and Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to the first Midweek Byte of 2026. I'm Ernest Bethea, the last Outlaw. So good to have you aboard. And yes, like I said, this is the first bite officially of 2026. And here's a shocker for you. I don't have an opening nor closing statement to open or close this edition, so I'm just coming straight off with the news you need, legal stories to cover, and we are jumping off with this story. A Michigan man charged with murder after a violent attack on ex's new boyfriend. Here's where we are. A Michigan man is charged with first-degree murder in the stabbing death of a man who police say was dating the suspect's ex. Prosecutor announced charges have been filed against 29-year-old Matthew Molinaro after 26-year-old Peyton Bilbia was found dead at home with multiple stab wounds. One thing I want to get out is this was not random. Milford Police Chief Scott Tereskowitz told Scripps News Detroit. This was more something of a targeted attack. The investigation began when Bilbia's girlfriend called police requesting a welfare check. She hadn't heard from her boyfriend in quite some time and grew concerned when she couldn't reach him at his apartment. Based on the sound of the ring, officers knew the victim's phone was still in his apartment. Milford police, with the help from the fire department, forced entry into the man's apartment and discovered his body with clear signs of foul play. It was obviously a quite violent attack, and it was readily apparent that this was not self-inflicted. This was not natural. This was a homicide, Tereskowitz said. Police said they arrested Molinaro approximately 30 miles away at a bar in Royal Oak, Michigan. In a news release announcing the charges, Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald said Molinaro had previously dated Bilbia's girlfriend. Peyton Bilbia should be with us today, McDonald said in a statement. Instead, his life was cut short because of what appears to be a domestic dispute. This case is a tragic reminder that the danger from domestic violence doesn't end when a relationship ends. Molinaro is being held without bond at the Oakland County Jail. If convicted of first-degree murder, he faces a sentence of life without parole. He's due in court January 19th for a probable cause hearing. And ladies and gentlemen, this is how we jump off of 2026. I mean, the girl has already left you. Just leave her and her new relationship alone. I mean, what sense did that make to even bother with the new guy in her life? Oh, I get it. Doggone it. I should remember. It's that age-old case of, if I can't have you, neither can he. Honestly, that's just pitiful thinking. Molinaro, like the article said, Molinaro is facing first-degree murder charges, and if he's convicted, he will be sentenced to life he could face life without the possibility of parole. The next story on my short docket, and this is a short one, is coming from near my neck of the woods. This is the start of the Cheating fire chief murder trial. Day 2 has already began. Case of the state of Washington versus Kevin West. This one's coming out of Vancouver. A former fire battalion chief is facing life in prison if convicted of murdering his wife to carry on an affair. Here we go again. Kevin West is charged with the death of his wife, 48-year-old Marcy West. Authorities say Kevin, now 52, strangled Marcy to death in their home. Kevin called 911 on January 8th around 4:30 a.m. to report that his wife was unconscious and having a seizure. According to court documents, she was pronounced dead around 5:11 a.m. In an interview with police, Kevin said the couple had a regular night watching movies and eating takeout before Marcy complained of a headache and took ibuprofen. Kevin told investigators that Marcy vomited before going to sleep, but had no other complaints and decided to go to bed. A medical examiner noted injuries on Marcy's body consistent with strangulation, including bruises under her jawline and earlobes, brain swelling, and bilateral subcutaneous hemorrhaging on her neck, according to those documents. Her death was later ruled a homicide caused by asphyxia due to blunt neck trauma. An investigation further revealed that Kevin was having an affair with Cynthia Ward, whom he met in the early 2000s. Kevin initially told authorities he had no plans to leave Marcy. However, text messages recovered from his cell phone allegedly indicated he planned to move out of the home on January 8th and finish divorce papers the following day. Letters were also found in Kevin's garage addressed to Ward, including one that read, "Next year, 2024, will be our year. We will be together celebrating every day with love and understanding of what it means for you and I to be together. Our story will ring in the new year loud for all to hear." At the time of Marcy's death, Kevin was a battalion chief for the Camas-Washougal Fire Department. Court documents reveal that since his arrest, Kevin and Ward have become engaged. I mean, I get it. I get it. Kevin, Marcy, they're no longer in love. I get that. A smart, a smart move would have been a quick and easy divorce. Get that done. Get that done. Get engaged to Cynthia Ward. Marcy will be happy with whatever comes up out of that. Kevin would be happy with Cynthia Ward. He would not be called a criminal defendant. Nope. Nope. That's not. He decided to go the opposite route. Decided to kill his wife, and apparently he would end up facing murder charges. So between the coverage locally here on at Coin 6 in Oregon and Court TV, I'll keep an eye on this case and I'll bring you all the latest updates. Next up, an inmate once dubbed the female Charles Manson has been denied freedom. Oh, this is going to be very interesting. The female Charles Manson. All right, here we go with this one. We're going to Indianapolis, Indiana. A woman once dubbed the female Charles Manson will remain behind bars after a judge's decision. Sarah Jo, 25 years after she was convicted for her role in the deaths of Andrew Cataldi and Trisha Nordman. In an order dated January 5th, Judge James Snyder formally denied the petition for sentence modification. Pender, now 45, delivered an emotional statement on her own behalf at the December hearing, denying she pulled the trigger and killed the two victims, but accepting the responsibility for their deaths. Cataldi and Nordman were shot to death in 2000 in the Indianapolis home they shared with Pender and her then boyfriend, Richard Hull. Hull admitted to being the gunman and was sentenced to 75 years in prison after accepting a plea deal. After going to trial, Pender was sentenced to 110 years. Pender saw tremendous support at December's resentencing hearing, with the judge hearing testimony from her parents, a documentary filmmaker, and a letter written by former Marion County prosecutor Larry Sells on her behalf. Sells, who notably referred to Pender as the female Charles Manson when she was first charged with the crime, says he now supports her resentencing. Somebody correct me here, but she took responsibility for two deaths despite the fact that she wasn't the gunman. She took her chances in court, convicted, sentenced to 110 years behind bars. The attorney for the prosecution in that trial dubbed her the female Charles Manson. And now he actually supported her. I would say he's got a lot more compassion than I probably would have on a scale this big. But the judge did have the final say, and his word was denied. Sarah Jo Pender is gonna stay behind bars and likely serve out the 110 years. All right, next up, we have a teen accused of murdering his mother, holding his ears as the evidence is played out in open court. Mm, mm, mm. All right. Next, we're going to Miami, Florida. While she slept, held his ears and squirmed in his seat as evidence was played in court ahead of his trial. Derek Rosa, now 15, had just turned 13 when he allegedly stabbed his mother, Irina Garcia, to death in her bed in their Hialeah home on October 12, 2023. He has pleaded not guilty to the charges of first-degree murder. At a court hearing that began on January 5th, his attorneys fought for evidence of statements he made to the police, in which he appears to confess, to be suppressed ahead of his trial. Rosa called 911 himself to report his mother's murder. As the call played in court, Rosa sat with his head down, eyes closed, and fingers plugging his ears. "Miss, I shot my mom," Rosa told the 911 operator. "My mom died. She was sleeping and I stabbed her in the throat and in the back. Rosa's attorneys have emphasized his juvenile status, arguing that he was still a child at the time of the murder. Multiple times on the call with 911, Rosa is unable to give his address, saying he only knows that it says 201 on the door of the apartment. On the call, the operator tries to guide Rosa to find mail in the home that might offer a clue to his address. As Rosa continues talking about his mother, she bled out all over the floor. When the dispatcher asked Rosa why he killed his mother, he responded, "I didn't want to be here no more. I didn't want to be alive no more." Rosa refused to check whether his mother was still breathing. "She's dead. I stabbed her. I stabbed her more than 5 times." Testifying Monday, Detective Joseph Elosky, who responded to the scene, said Garcia suffered multiple stab wounds and that the autopsy found one wound was only 1 millimeter away from her carotid artery. Rosa's attorneys have emphasized that his inability to give the dispatcher his address and later his statement that he didn't have initials when asked to sign the form to show his immaturity and point to why statements he made should not be allowed in court. Prosecutors counted that Rosa was properly educated about his rights and played a portion of body-worn camera that showed Detective Elosky going through the Miranda warnings line by line, having Rosa read them back to him. On Tuesday, yesterday, after hearing additional arguments from both defense and prosecution, Judge Richard Hirsch denied the defense's motion and ruled that Rosa's statements and admissions would be admissible at his murder trial. Ladies and gentlemen, I say this, and I would direct this directly to Derek Rosa. You did the big boy crime. Prepare yourself to do the big boy time. This is first-degree murder you're being charged with. You may be 15 now, but that 15 ain't got nothing to do with a first-degree murder charge. You can almost go ahead and get yourself ready now, because it is almost guaranteed you will be charged as an adult with the first-degree murder. And then on top of it, it's your mother. It's your mother you did this to. And on top of it, you openly admitted it on a 911 call. Young man, your goose is cooked. So saith the last outlaw. Let's see what I got next here. Oh, another teen on trial, or is about to go on trial. This one is charged with intentionally causing a deadly 12-car crash. And to no one's surprise, he's pleaded not guilty. This one is in Vegas. The driver accused in a fatal 12-car crash is set to return to court in just over 4 months for trial. Jose Gutierrez appeared in district court Tuesday morning and pleaded not guilty to the charges brought before him. Gutierrez is accused of intentionally driving his silver Infiniti into a group of cars stopped at a stoplight at Cheyenne and Jones on November 18th. That crash ultimately killed 3 people, including his girlfriend, who family said was pregnant at the time. Witnesses testified during Gutierrez's initial appearance, with one man comparing the scene to a suicide bomber. Gutierrez also waived his right to a speedy trial, and the judge set his trial date for May 18th. 12 cars, 3 people dead, including your including your girlfriend and the baby she was carrying. You might as well say that's 4. My question is simply this, ladies and gentlemen. What put you in such a hurry to cause all that damage, cause all that calamity, cause all that destruction, and all that loss of life? What you in a hurry for? Like American Bank said, slow it down. Slow it down. If he had, we wouldn't even be talking about this case. Next up, one of the most talked about cases that just came across at the start of the year. Police released footage of a person of interest in the Tepe murders in Ohio. And looks like my wife, the lady Outlaw, starting off 2026, bringing something to my attention. What's up? Okay. We'll deal with that later. All right. Okay. I'll start off with the article, and then I'm going to give you footage straight from our friends at Court TV. We are in Ohio, and the footage that'll come to you will be coming from. Yes, I get to say for the first time this year, my main man, 50 grand, Vinny Politan, Court TV's closing arguments. First, the article itself. Authorities have released security footage of a person of interest in the killing of an Ohio couple who were found shot to death in their home last week. Police in Columbus found Dr. Spencer Tepe, a 37-year-old dentist, and his wife, 39-year-old Monique Tepe, with gunshot wounds on the second floor of their home at about 10 a.m. on December 30th, after officers were asked to conduct a wellness check, according to authorities. Medical personnel later pronounced them both dead. The couple's 2 young children were also in the home, but were unharmed, according to police. So what happened? Many questions remain about the case, including who might have killed the couple and why. Detectives believe the Tepes were shot between 2 and 5 a.m. on the day they were found. Dispatchers first got a call from Spencer Tepe's boss, Dr. Mark Volrose, who was concerned because Tepe didn't show up for work. Sometimes people don't show up for work, the dispatcher told Volrose, according to the 911 calls. I just don't know how else to say this, but we're very concerned because this is very out of character, Volrose said. Someone else called to request a wellness check before a distraught man who described himself as a friend of Spencer Tepe's, Alex Diddy, called at 10:03 a.m. and said, "Oh, there's a body. Oh my God." Diddy went on to say he could see Spencer Tepe's body was off the side of a bed in a pool of blood. A spokesperson for the Franklin County Coroner's Office said in an email Tuesday that the couple died in an apparent homicide by gunshot wounds, but the official reports won't be completed for several weeks. The video, which you will see in a little bit, shows a person of interest. On Monday, police released security footage of a person of interest that shows the person walking in an alley near the couple's home during the 3 hours in which investigators believe they were attacked. The person was wearing light-colored pants and a dark hooded jacket, and police asked for the public's help in identifying them. We know there are questions and concerns surrounding this tragic incident, police said in a statement. Detectives are working diligently to solve this case. A community is still in mourning. In a statement, family members described the couple as extraordinary people whose lives were filled with love, joy, and deep connection to others. Spencer Tepe, graduated from the Ohio State University, became a member of the American Dental Association, and was involved with Big Brothers Big Sisters organization. He was also a huge Cincinnati Bengals and Ohio State Buckeyes fan, the family said. Monique Tepe was a loving, patient, and joyful mother, an avid baker, and a thoughtful planner, it said. They were the proud parents of two beautiful children, and every day they showed up with unwavering love and devotion to their family, wrote a cousin, Audrey Mackey. So now, as I promised you, I am going to step out of. I'm going to get out of the shot, and I'm going to let you all witness this this footage, courtesy of Court TV. Let me go ahead and do this now and get this over with quickly. Because the last thing I want to have done is get blasted for the old copyright. All right. So you're hearing all the articles. Plus, I have one coming courtesy of People Magazine's crime section. All right, now we got all that house cleaning out of the way. Like I said, I'm gonna step out the shot. I'm gonna bring Vinny Politan into the shot, and you're gonna see the footage of that person of interest.
I want to talk about the Tepes. This was a happy couple. Everyone that has spoken about them talked about their personalities, bigger than life, and a couple starting a family in Columbus, Ohio. He's a dentist. She's a stay-at-home mom with the two little ones. And they've got what seems from the outside to be this amazing life, this journey that they're beginning, right? And it's the holiday season. And then the tragic scene inside of their home. Mom dead. Dad dead. Both shot and killed. And when you hear that headline, you're gonna think, oh, was there something we didn't know about this couple? Was there some murder-suicide thing that happened here? No. There's no weapon left behind. Somebody did this. And think about what they did, because the children survived. The children were in the house at the time that their mother and father are killed by someone, and they're just left in the dark crying. Who knows for how long? Who knows what they saw, what they understood, what they'll remember about this. But their parents were stolen from them. Their lives have been drastically changed, and two young lives, this young couple, taken by a killer. But the question tonight is, what happened here? What happened to this family? Who is responsible? There was no sign of forced entry. There's no talk of things being taken from the home. It wasn't a home invasion. What happened here? Tonight, new developments, and I got to show you this. Video released from the police over in Columbus, Ohio. Video of someone from an alleyway close to the home. Unfortunately, when you watch this video, what you're going to see is not 100% clear. A lot of times these surveillance videos aren't. As a matter of fact, it reminds me so much of the Delphi video to a certain extent. But let's take a look at this. This is a person of interest. Again, it's dark, it's cold, hands in pockets, hood on, hat, hunched over. But is that purposeful? Is the head down purposeful, knowing that there's cameras everywhere, that you don't want to be seen? Well, this person has now been seen, and I'm wondering if anyone would recognize the person with that type of a walk, those type of clothes, who might be in that area. They need to come forward. This is a person of interest, needs to be spoken to. Maybe 100% innocent, maybe 100% guilty, or may have some information that could help investigators. Speaking of investigators, let me bring in a special guest, former homicide detective, more than 20 years working homicides and high-profile cases. Phil Waters is with us. Phil, great to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Let's talk about this video first. This is the latest thing that's been released. What can investigators take away from this video? You get this. What do you do with it? Obviously, you've put it out on social media, the local television, court TV, everyone's put it out there for the world to see now. Are detectives taking anything else away from this video?
Well, I think the video, to me, indicates that this person has got a vehicle somewhere off the other block someplace, away from, if this is in fact our suspect, away from the scene. So, and just the way he's acting, it would appear to me that this is purposeful. The head down, making sure the hood is pulled forward. So there's a lot of things going on here that this looks like this is the best suspect going at the moment.
So let's take that to the next level, right? A lot of people are wondering, is this someone that they knew, perhaps? Because there's no sign of forced entry. Now, obviously, a door could have been unlocked, but it seems like it's someone who showed up purposely that night, may actually know them, but as you're pointing out, didn't park in front of the house. So this is something that seems to be planned then.
Oh, I think so. I think just the fact that we have, it is what we know about the scene. That the husband the father is shot multiple times. She is shot once in the chest, at least if that's what's been reported. So it's obvious, I think, to anybody that he is the target. Now, what we don't know is what caused him to be the target. This appears to be something, I would be shocked if it's not something very, very personal. I think it goes beyond the, this dentist performed a bad root canal. I mean, this is something that, and then they leave the children. They know the children are there, and yet they commit the murders, leave the children unharmed, and the children appear to be, at least from the pictures that I've seen, appear to be old enough that they can be interviewed, do a forensic interview with them, and see if they can give them any more information. Did they know this person? Is this person a relative? Is this person an associate of some kind that they've seen in the home before? The fact that there's no forced entry. I mean, all of these factors point to a person that was known by this young couple.
Now, I want to give you some more information here. After discovering the bodies of Monique and Spencer Tappy inside their Wineland Park home, this is December 30th, Sergeant Joe Albert from Columbus Division of Police provided an update to the reporters from WBNS 10 TV.
At this time, we have no indication that this is a murder-suicide, so that's something that we're working through to determine if it's something like that or if it is truly a double homicide.
We've got a little more information here, too, from the Columbus Dispatch. Columbus police record said Spencer was shot multiple times, like you said. Shell casings were recovered at the scene. Columbus police said no gun was found and determined their deaths were not the result of murder-suicide. What kind of information can they get from those shell casings, Phil?
Well, they're going to run a knife and check on those shell casings to see if they're perhaps that firearm was used in a related incident at another time. If they don't get anything from that, I would imagine in a case like this, and in every homicide case, the bodies are evidence. And I would be interested to see what the autopsy reveals, if these are contact wounds or if there's stippling involved. It'll give you an idea of the proximity of the shooter when he fired the shots into each one of these individuals. So there's a lot of evidence that's going to be gleaned from the firearms. I think that I'm assuming they will do SEM kits as a matter of drill, and that's to determine if there's any gunpowder residue on their hands. Now, there's going to be some gunpowder residue there because obviously a firearm was fired in their presence, but it will be interesting to see if there is a very small amount of gunpowder residue on their hand or a large amount. So the firearms evidence is going to be a real way to start to establish kind of what happened in the moment. Now, whether it leads to a suspect, they'll run that. If they get a connection to a firearm, they'll run that through ATF to see if they can track the history of that firearm and so forth. So we'll just have to wait and see what that firearms evidence reveals to us.
Yeah, and I've got to think another place to look is on their cell phones, right? Text messages, emails, to see if there was any sort of a conflict at all somewhere in their lives, or if they were expecting guests that night. And if so, would they have that information already by tonight, or does it take time to get the cooperation from the phone companies, et cetera, to get that type of info?
Well, if they've got the phones at the scene, obviously if they can get into the phones and cell bright those phones or use some other data piece of equipment that can pull the data off of the phones, the first thing I'm going to be looking at is who are the last people that contacted these folks, who did they talk to, and then these are going to lead you to other avenues of the investigation. So you're going to be heading out to those people and find out, okay, you spoke to them at this point in time. What was that conversation about? Look at their text messages and so forth. So we're trying to establish a timeline here as who and when who made contact with them, and were the last people to have contact with them, and what time did that occur. So there's a lot of information that'll be gleaned from all the digital stuff, and I'm sure they're canvassing the neighborhood where we see this possible suspect walking from. We want to see if people notice something that was unusual about the setting that day. Did they see vehicles that are not normally seen there? Did they see this individual? Did somebody see this guy get out of a car on the other side and walk across? So I'm sure that the detectives are hitting that canvas pretty hard. You never know until you ask the question about what someone saw.
Absolutely. Phil Waters, great to have you aboard. Thanks so much. Great to see you.
Thank you, Vinny. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. All right, let's bring in our think tank. Joining me tonight, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Al Wunsch III, along with criminal defense attorney Darnell Crossland and family law attorney Jennifer Brandt. Great to see everyone. First show of the new year. All right, Al, to me, this is shocking, right? Because you hear this scenario, most people think immediately murder, suicide, behind a locked door. No sign of forced entry, but that's not the case here. So it seems like investigators are going to have to dive into the lives of the dentist, Spencer, and his wife, Monique, to see what was going on, if there was a conflict with someone out there.
Well, you know, Vin, the scenario here is quite odd, but it looks to me like it's a professional hit, because the way the individual was walking and, you know, keeping his head down and walking in a measured pace, not running, because that would be the first mistake, especially because it looks like it's slushy and snowy and icy out there, so that it'd be a situation where they could possibly trip or fall, or also they would, you know, actually get attention if you see a guy running in that kind of an outfit at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning. That would be something that would, somebody in the neighborhood would probably see and say something about. So it looks to me like it's a professional hit. Now, dentists carry a lot of drugs. Dentists have they have gold. They have a number of other things that they deal with. I mean, I know because I have a number of dentists that are clients that I've gotten weapon permits for, to carry permits, because of the fact that they have a extensive amount of drugs, and also gold for fillings and silver for fillings, things along those lines, which are precious, actually precious commodities. So it looks to me it's a professional hit. I'm also really curious as to how his office reacted the way they did, because he was a little late.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that.
In my office, I'd have the police in my house every morning.
Yeah,
but I mean, he was a little late, and they were right on top of that, where they were sending people to his house to see where he is.
We'll get into that in just a moment. Darnell, let me ask you: no forced entry, zero forced entry here. I mean, someone rings the doorbell, someone knocks on the door, or maybe a door's left unlocked. How would the person know that door would be unlocked? I'm trying to understand how the killer gets inside.
Yeah. I know how they got inside. They used the key. They had a key. So
well, it's also got a punch code. It's got a code.
Yeah, they probably had the code too. So I don't know how professional they are. I don't see that they're looking to break in this house, shoot this guy in the chest, shoot his wife in the chest because they want gold or drugs, when there's no indication that drugs or gold was taken. They would have hit up the dentist lab or the job, the office. So I think that this was definitely personal, as the detective said. Somebody either had the code, the key, or something. And what you typically go to, either she was having an affair or he was having an affair.
Well, there's no indication of any of that, Darnell, of affairs. I mean, like, obviously they've got to dig into their lives, but there's been no indication from anyone associated with the family. I mean, the indications are like the exact opposite of that.
Yeah, well, you're obviously looking at what are the common motives, and what you see in these cases. We've done a lot of these on court TV. Somebody falls in love here. We don't have the proof yet. It's too early. But I don't think it's a crime of opportunity for any money or anything like that. It's something very personal, as the detective said. And what's more personal than affairs of the heart? We don't have proof of that, but I'm just saying, if I was a betting man, I would say this wasn't about money or any material. This is an affair of the heart or something like that. Jennifer
Brandt, two aspects. The other aspect, how they get in, and then the children are there. I mean, it's a beautiful home. We've been showing it, but it's not a huge home. Like, it's an up and down. It's not a sprawling type of house. I mean, they are close by when all this happens.
Yeah, well, Vinny, we really don't know what happened at all. And I think everybody's just speculating at this point. It could be completely a mistaken, a house that someone was targeting, and they got in there and this couple was there and they panicked and shot them. I mean, we really don't know why it was this couple. It didn't seem like they had any enemies, or it didn't seem like anybody was having an affair. And how did this person get in? Well, they could have known the code, or they could have hacked the code. They could have knocked at the door. Who knows? I mean, how they got in. But, this person walking, I do agree with Al, the person walking in the alley, whether that is a suspect or not, I mean, this person seems pretty cool and collected. Looks like he's walking pretty slowly and just taking his time, not really running or in a panic. So, could it have been a professional hit? Perhaps, but who would target this couple? And I think that's what the investigators are really going to get into now, is why and how and, why these people were targeted, if they even were, and what else was going on in the neighborhood. Was there someone else that, maybe they went to the wrong house? Anything is possible at this point in time. It's
Jennifer, that's really interesting. You talk about the wrong house, because we took a look at this neighborhood, and it's a beautiful home, but it's one of those newer developments where, and it's kind of like the neighborhood I live in, where the homes can be very confusing. It's the same builder building a bunch of homes that are somewhat similar. They're not exactly the same, but it could be easy to confuse one with another. But then you get to the fact of, how do they get
100%.
in? How do they get in? There's two ways. There's the back door, right? And to get to the back door, you either have to climb over the fence or go through their garage. Otherwise, you can go in the front door. They have a Ring doorbell on the front, but it looks like it's one of the battery-operated ones, which generally don't record as much because the battery then runs out very quickly. But they're asking for more videos.
Knowing the devices, but Vinny, knowing the devices that were on the types of locks that might have been on all of these homes or whatever, you don't know. Someone might have had some information about how to get in or how to break into these homes or get into these keypads. There's a lot of possibilities of, and why they didn't hurt the children. Well, that's not, so questionable. I mean, these were two little children there. Not that this person had a heart, but he sees these babies there basically, and they're not going to tell anybody. They're really young children. So maybe just left and, did what he did and just got out of there.
Yeah, there have been reports that the children are, we believe, 4 and 1 years old.
Lots of questions and not many answers. But hoping we'll find out exactly what's really going on with this case, and hopefully we can get justice for both Dr. Spencer and Monica Tempe. Stay tuned for more. Next up, first case that lands right into my Justice Served file. We're going back to Ohio, folks. A man has been sentenced to 14 years in the death of missing teenager Amanda Dean. Oh man, this is good. This is so good. First case to land in my Justice Served file. Coming out of Ohio. Norwalk, Ohio, to be more precise. The boyfriend of a missing Ohio woman was sentenced Monday after previously pleading guilty to felony charges in connection with her death. Last month, Frederick Rear pleaded guilty to charges of involuntary manslaughter, tampering with evidence, and gross abuse of a corpse in the death of his girlfriend, Amanda Dean. On Monday, a judge sentenced Rear to 14 years in prison. The 36-year-old mother of 4 was last seen on July 11, 2017, in Townsend Township. Her family says she was involved in an abusive relationship and was living with her boyfriend Rear during that time. Rear was indicted in 2024 on a murder charge before pleading guilty last month to lesser charges. The AG's office said the Ohio Bureau of Investigation, or OBI, determined that Rear killed Dean inside a residence where the couple lived, then cleaned the crime scene and disposed of the evidence. Her body has never been found. Dean's family delivered emotional impact statements at Rear's sentencing. Her mother and son spoke about the woman they lost and desperately want back. Prosecutors described a violent and toxic relationship between Dean and Rear, sharing text messages Dean had sent to friends saying to look at Rear if she should ever go missing. Rear spoke briefly, apologizing to the Dean family as well as his own and the community, as the judge delivered the 14-year sentence. Dean's family and friends held up photos in the gallery showing the victim and her family in silence report. And I'm looking at a Facebook comment from Lori Seraphin Bloom saying, only 14 years. Even though this was a plea deal, that is not justice for the family. And I gotta admit, I have to agree with that statement. I mean, sure, and like I said, this story landed in my Justice Served file, but still, he took a life. He disposed and discarded that life. The body has never been found, and we're calling that justice. Only 14 years? Make it make sense. I'm glad he's being put away like the animal he is, but still 14 years in my opinion, and in Lori Seraphin Bloom's opinion, that's just not long enough. All right, next up, we're coming straight from People Magazine's crime link with the story of a dad of 3 shot and killed in a Target parking lot, allegedly during an argument over a parking spot. Honestly, whatever it was, it doesn't make sense. Here's what you need to know. An argument over a parking spot at a Savannah, Georgia Target allegedly led to a fatal shooting that left the father of 3 dead. The victim was identified in reports as Matthew Trawick. Tyler Lynn has been charged with murder and aggravated assault in connection with the shooting. Now that's just a short, easy breakdown. Here's the entire story. A father of 3 was fatally shot after an alleged fight over a spot in a Target parking lot in Georgia. The Savannah Police Department said it responded to a report of a shooting in the area of the Target on Sunday, January 4th. The victim suffered multiple gunshot wounds and was pronounced dead at a hospital, police said. 30-year-old Tyler Lynn was subsequently arrested and charged with murder and aggravated assault in connection with the shooting, according to the police department. Lynn remained on scene following the incident, police said. It is not immediately clear if Lynn has entered a plea or retained an attorney. WJCL and WTOC reported the victim was identified as Matthew Trawick, a father with 3 young children. You can see here's those 3 children. Their faces covered. Well, I agree with that move. Here's Trawick and his lovely wife. In a Facebook post, Savannah Mayor Van Johnson claimed the shooting happened during an alleged argument over a parking dispute. Our hearts go out to the family and loved ones of the victim, Johnson said. No disagreement over a parking space or anything else should ever end in the loss of life. I agree with that. Trawick's employer, Vaden Automotive, said the company was heartbroken by his loss. A GoFundMe has been started to benefit Trawick's wife and 3 children. It has so far raised over $85,000, at least at the time of this posting of this report. WSAV and WTOC reported that Lynn is an Army veteran serving from 2015 to 2023. But I have to agree with the mayor. It's a parking spot at Target, no less. It shouldn't even be a thought about getting into an argument over a parking spot. If you can find another one, it's fine, take it. There's no reason for an argument over a parking spot to end in the loss of life. Next up, a husband is accused of killing his wife in front of his home as the kids called 911. The man can be heard saying, "I can't live without her." We're in Indianapolis, Indiana. Cecil Maines, of age 47, has been charged with murder in connection of the death of his 44-year-old wife, Jerry Maines. According to a probable cause affidavit obtained by People magazine, dispatchers received multiple calls from their children during the shooting. The couple's 19-year-old son allegedly told the dispatcher, "My dad just shot my mom twice. He shot her in the house and in the driveway." Now here's the entire breakdown. An Indiana man is accused of fatally shooting his wife in front of their 4 children. 47-year-old Cecil Maines of Indianapolis has been charged with murder in connection with the death of his 44-year-old wife, Jerry Maines. Officers with the Indianapolis Metro Police Department were called to the 8100 block of Meadow Bend Lane on a report of a person shot on Sunday, December 28th, just before 2:30 p.m. That's according to the probable cause affidavit obtained by People magazine. Dispatchers received multiple calls from their children during the shooting, per the affidavit. The couple's 19-year-old son allegedly told a dispatcher, "My dad just shot my mom twice. He shot her in the house and in the driveway." And here's our defendant, Cecil Maines. Another child could be heard on the call saying, "My dad is shooting my mom. I'm hiding. Please help me. My mom had a restraining order against him. I can't live without her," the affidavit says. Oh, so that's where that line came from. It wasn't him. It wasn't Cecil. It was one of their kids. When officers arrived, they discovered Jerry outside in the driveway of their home, according to the affidavit. She had been shot twice in the chest. Jerry was transported to the hospital in critical condition, where she was later pronounced dead. Maines fled the scene in his gray Toyota Tundra pickup, but was found driving nearby. Officers conducted a traffic stop and took him into custody without incident, according to the affidavit. According to the Indy Star, Jerry filed a protective order against her husband on Christmas Day, 3 days before she was killed. The filing alleged he threatened to kill both her and himself while they were in a Justice Center parking lot on December 23rd because she planned to file for divorce. The next day, on Christmas Eve, she alleged she sustained bruising and lacerations on her arm after he threw kitchen tongs at her. Again, that's according to the Indy Star. The outlet reported, citing the filing, that he later threatened to kill himself in front of her and their children. He also allegedly punched her in the face in November. Now, according to a GoFundMe page, the couple's children, who are 19, 17, 14, and 10, are now facing an unimaginable future without their mom. These kids have already endured more than any child should, the fundraiser reads. Our hope is that they can focus on healing, staying together, and rebuilding their lives with stability and support. Now, I have read one too many stories like that over my 3+ years doing this true crime thing, and they don't get any easier. This one included. But we can also agree that I really don't know how to put a description on this, but it like I said, it doesn't get any easier covering a story like that. I hope that entire family get the justice they are seeking against one Cecil Maines. All right. And finally, on this short docket, the midweek bite. Another trial that I was looking forward to covering at the start of this year is gonna be delayed a little while longer. The trial continued for Georgia teen accused of killing her mother and her stepfather. All right, we're going to Carroll County, Georgia. The trial for a Georgia teenager accused of murdering her mother and stepfather has been delayed till August. 17-year-old Sarah Grace Patrick is charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault in the deaths of James Brock and Kristen Brock. The couple was fatally shot in their home on February 20th, 2025, according to the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. Prosecutors say Patrick shot both victims and allowed her younger sister to find the bodies before calling 911. Jury selection was expected to begin January 5th in Patrick's trial. However, the trial was delayed after prosecutors said they needed time to review a preliminary report on a neuropsychological evaluation conducted by an expert for the defense. Patrick turned herself in after a warrant was issued for her arrest in July. At the time of her arrest, authorities said they were still investigating the motive. Jury selection is now scheduled to begin August 3rd. Following the trial delay, Patrick's defense filed a motion for reconsideration of bond. A hearing is scheduled for January 27th. Wow. So instead of this trial going on right now, I'm going to have to wait for the dog days of summer for this one to even get underway. Oh, this is going to be a good wait. And before I dip out of here, I've got one last surprise top story to drop in on you. Ashley Buzzard. Ashley Buzzard's defense team is requesting a permanent gag order. The Vandenberg Village woman charged with the planned killing of her daughter last fall appeared before a judge and in a packed courtroom in Lubbock on today. It was Ashley Buzzard's second court appearance since her December 23rd arrest. The 40-year-old is being held without bail in the Northern Branch Jail in Santa Maria on a charge of first-degree murder, a special allegation of discharge of a firearm causing death, and a special circumstance of murder by lying in wait in connection with the October 9th shooting death of her 9-year-old daughter Melody in Utah. Buzzard has pleaded not guilty. In court Wednesday, it was revealed that Buzzard's preliminary hearing will not take place before April, after she waived her 60-day right to a preliminary hearing. The defense is also requesting that a permanent gag order be issued in the case, prohibiting law enforcement from publicly discussing or disclosing details of the investigation. That, along with a motion regarding details from the warrants the defense would like to obtain, is expected to be heard during a hearing on January 21st. Buzzard was the focus of a multi-state investigation after school administrators in Lubbock notified the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office of Melody's prolonged absence back in mid-October. authorities, said Buzzard was uncooperative, providing no information as to her daughter's whereabouts. Santa Barbara County Sheriff Bill Brown said it's believed that Buzzard shot Melody in the head during a multi-state road trip and left her daughter's body in a remote area of Wayne County, Utah. Melody's remains were discovered in early December. So, Ashley Buzzard's defense team wants to keep hush as far as what is said and what is being done in that case. I want everything to come out. I want everything to come out. That way, when everything comes out, so will the truth about what happened to Melody and who truly was behind it. And that's what I'm going to be waiting for. Well, guys, that's it. That's a wrap for the first any edition of Bethea'S Byte Reloaded for 2026. In this case, it's the Mid-Week Byte. I want to thank you all for joining me. It's good to keep on doing this, and remember where you are. This is your home for true crime news without all the drama, where your opinions matter, where lively debates are encouraged, your voice is heard, and above all else, justice is served. And how do we do it? The only way I know how. With no gimmicks, no drama, and no BS. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Bethea'S Byte. And it's reloaded. Thanks for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me here at the drama-free true crime destination. Please be sure to follow Bethea'S Byte Reloaded all over social media and support the channel through PayPal and Cash App. You can get your true crime news right here with no gimmicks, no drama, and no BS. This is Bethea'S Byte, and it's reloaded.